Discover the heartwarming truth, how one joke completely transformed our marriage after 10 years. It was a typical Saturday afternoon in Oakwood, where laughter danced in the air at the neighborhood barbecue. The sun cast golden rays through the oak trees, and families lounged around, the smell of grilled burgers wafting through the warm breeze. Tom stood near the grill, flipping patties while cracking jokes with the neighbors. He was the life of the party, radiating confidence and charm. But when he made a light-hearted comment about the joys of married life, the laughter echoed painfully within Sarah's heart. It wasn't laughter, it felt like a spotlight shining down on the cracks in their seemingly perfect marriage. She could almost hear the collective chuckles around her, leaving her raw and exposed. The weight of renovations, car payments, and stubborn bills hung heavy over their heads, and here Tom was, cracking jokes as if nothing mattered. Sarah's smile faltered, her chest tightening. That moment ignited a smoldering resentment, hidden like the roots of the oak trees wrapping around the neighborhood, silently taking hold. Later that night, as they sank into the couch after tucking the kids into bed, the silence came rushing in. Sarah turned to Tom, the familiar ache surfacing. "Do you even see me anymore?" The words trembled out, barely containing the flood of emotions threatening to spill over. Tom's expression shifted, surprise and defensiveness flashing in his eyes. "I'm just trying to keep us afloat, Sarah." The room was thick with tension. They both wanted to connect, yet every effort seemed tangled in misunderstanding. Sarah spoke of feeling overlooked, burdened by responsibilities that never seemed to fade, while Tom poured out the pressures from work, the crushing fear that they'd lose everything. "What if we can't make it?" he whispered, a crack in his sturdy facade. Days turned into nights, filled with clumsy conversations that danced around their pain. An unspoken agreement hung heavy in the air: no more hurt, but no more healing. Sarah often saw Tom staring out the window, lost in thoughts of layoffs and bills. And at the community center, surrounded by families in need, the laughter felt infectious. She found herself at a support group, where a woman shared her own struggles and found the courage to laugh through the tears. A simple thought struck Sarah: could laughter help build bridges instead of barriers? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But when Sarah approached Tom with her new insight, the walls he'd built felt more impenetrable. Instead of connection, her words stirred fear. "You think I can't handle this?" he snapped, the hurt unfolding like a tangle of wires. Each confrontation opened old wounds, reminding them of everything they hadn't shared. Just when it seemed like their love might splinter apart entirely, a different understanding began to take form. Their vulnerabilities intertwined, and for a brief moment, they both felt the push and pull of something powerful, a hope emerging through the darkness. Yet, just as they reached for one another, a family crisis took hold. A sudden phone call smashing through their fragile peace. Now, standing on the edge of uncertainty, they realized that love forged in chaos could either break them or bind them closer together. Could they weather this storm, or would it be the final blow? The phone call shattered the fragile calm of the room. Sarah's hand trembled as she held the device, the name flashing across the screen sent her heart racing. Her mother. They didn't speak much these days, not since the diagnosis. A lump formed in her throat, and she glanced at Tom, who looked equally uneasy. "Is everything okay?" he asked carefully, though they both knew the answer could tip them into another spiral of worry. "Mom, it's about Mom," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. The knot in her stomach tightened. It felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. "Take the call," Tom said, giving her a nod of encouragement. He turned slightly away, giving her space. The worry lines on his forehead deepened, but she didn't miss the way he leaned forward, straining to hear. "Sar, I need to tell you something." Her mother's voice quivered over the line, but as the words unfolded, they became clearer and sharper. The news of her mother's sudden hospitalization hit Sarah like a wave. Tears sparked in her eyes. She could feel Tom's unspoken support as he edged closer, wanting to comfort her, yet unsure how. "Mom, I'll be right there," Sarah responded, trying to steady her trembling hands. Panic washed over her, a mix of urgency and helplessness. As soon as she hung up, she felt the room pull in around her, the noise of the barbecue replaced by a deafening silence that echoed their common fears. "Do you want me to drive?" Tom asked, his voice firm now, focused. "No, I need to go alone." It came out sharper than she intended. She couldn't help but feel the familiar discomfort squeezing her heart, fearing their strained connection would fray even more in the face of such distress. It was a bone-deep truth: the roots of their problems could not just vanish in a wave of shared worry. "Okay, I'll watch the kids," he replied quickly, sensing her need for space. But as Sarah turned for the door, she glanced back at him. The worry in his expression mirrored her own, but there was something else there too, a sliver of understanding. Maybe the laughter that had faded for too long didn't need to stay lost in the haze of everyday worries. That drive to the hospital felt endless. With every red light, she could feel her thoughts racing, grappling with the past 10 years, their struggles, the distance that had formed between them. Would a crisis bring them together, or would it push them even further apart? Arriving at the hospital, the lights buzzed above like an unsettling reminder of the turmoil they faced. As she navigated past sterile hallways, she released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. There was something about the place, the rawness of emotions hanging in the air, that made her feel alive and vulnerable all at once. Upon entering her mother's room, the sight of her frail figure in the hospital bed shattered her composure. The beeping of machines was a jarring contrast to the laughter that usually enveloped their family gatherings. Yet, as they spoke, and Sarah began to share memories, laughter emerged between tearful hugs and comforting words. "Remember the time I burned dinner because I was so distracted?" she asked, a smile creeping in as she wiped her mother's brow. "You made us all eat burnt toast for a week." Her mother chuckled softly, the sound warm and rich, pulling something from deep within Sarah, a connection that felt sharp yet healing. Maybe laughter could be their lifeline too. As she returned home, the events of the day clashed with her hopes for their marriage. Uneasiness buzzed in the back of her mind about what she'd face tomorrow. Time slipped by unnoticed as Tom slipped into the kitchen, where she stood stirring a pot of something safe and simple. "Hey," he said gently, leaning against the door frame, his eyes searching hers. "How did it go?" "It's complicated," she replied, feeling the weight of the hurt and love ebb within her. He stepped closer, the space between them narrowing. "I can help, you know. We can face this together." But would they? The question lingered like a silent pact as she looked into his eyes. Because in the chaos of the night, she knew they had a choice: would they lean into the storm together, or would they turn away again? The stakes were rising, and somewhere in the depths of uncertainty, a chance for hope emerged. Could they find a way back to each other amidst the chaos? Or would they become strangers navigating through the wreckage? What would tomorrow hold when they faced the music of their reality together? The sun broke through the early morning clouds, lighting up the kitchen in a soft glow as Sarah poured herself a much-needed cup of coffee. The house felt quiet, almost too quiet. She glanced at the clock: 7:45 a.m. She knew Tom would be up soon, yet the weight of yesterday loomed in the silence, thickening the air as heavy as the pot she had stirred late into the night. She caught herself wondering if the laughter they had shared in the hospital room could carry over to today. Could it bridge the chasm between them? The thought flickered, both comforting and frightening, when Tom finally emerged, his hair ruffled and eyes sleep-heavy. He offered her a small smile that felt like a flicker of warmth. "Morning." His voice was still scratchy from sleep. He shuffled to the coffee pot, rubbing his eyes, and she noticed the hesitation in his movements. Just moments ago, he was a supportive partner, but the uncertainty of the previous night loomed between them like a thick fog. "Hey, I made coffee," she said, trying to inject a sense of normalcy into the moment. "Thanks," he muttered, pouring a cup. She watched as he took a sip, the steam rising and curling toward the ceiling. There was so much they both wanted to say, yet the words hung like unwelcome guests. "How is she today?" Tom broke the silence, leaning against the counter with a sigh. "She seemed better, more herself," Sarah replied, grasping for the glimmer of hope she felt last night. "We talked about old times. Laughed a little even." She hesitated, assessing his expression. It felt good. A flicker of recognition crossed Tom's face, and for a moment, she thought he might lean in, reach out. But then he leaned back, the weight of old grievances pushing him further away. "That's good, Sar. I'm glad." "Tom, I think we can do this," she ventured cautiously. "Together, I mean. This is a chance for us." The words felt almost like an olive branch tossed into turbulent waters. "But can we?" he asked quietly, his vulnerability startling her. There was a tenuous honesty in his eyes that made her heart ache. "Can we really mend this?" The question hung heavily, and she felt her heartbeat quicken. Did they even know how to find their way back? It struck her then, not with force, but with clarity. They had to start somewhere, and maybe today was that day. "Let us try. Just for today," she said, her voice more resolute now. "Let us find one thing that makes us laugh. Like we did last night. Just one." A slight smile crept onto his lips, and it felt like the sun breaking through the clouds again, warming her heart. "Just one," she replied, her own smile growing more confident. It was a fragile spark, but hope had a way of expanding. If given a chance. As they stood amidst the mess of dishes and the lingering smell of coffee, an idea popped into her head. "Remember that awful chicken recipe you tried to impress Mom with?" she teased, her tone playful. "You nearly set the house on fire." Tom's eyes widened in mock horror, and for a moment his laughter echoed in the kitchen. That was a culinary disaster of epic proportions. She was not impressed. Her laughter joined his, and with it came the release of tension. It wasn't much, but laughter had a way of easing the burden they carried. As their smiles faded into soft expressions, Sarah felt a flicker of something shift in the air. Could they really open up again? Reflecting on the comfort in their shared memories, she couldn't help but think of the healing that needed to happen. "Let us make this a project," she suggested, her heart racing with the thought of moving forward together. "We'll choose one memory each day to laugh about." Tom nodded, his eyes glimmering with the newfound light of possibility. "I can work with that," he replied, a hint of mischief dancing on his lips, but as the sun climbed higher, bringing warmth and light, Sarah felt the pulse of doubt creeping back in. What if the shadows of their past were too hard to escape? Tomorrow's challenges loomed just outside their door, but this moment, this fragile ray of connection, reminded her that they had a chance to build something anew. "Let us get through today first," she whispered, searching his gaze. As he reached for her hand, she felt a spark of hope ignite between them, possibility blooming amidst uncertainty. But was hope enough? Tomorrow loomed with questions still unanswered. The morning unfolded slowly, like the delicate petals of a flower in bloom. Sarah felt the warmth of the sun on her face, reassuring her that today might be different. Tom stood beside her at the counter, his fingers brushing against hers as they reached for the same half-empty coffee pot. She couldn't help but notice how small gestures felt monumental now, like stepping stones towards something better. "Okay, what memory do we start with?" he finally asked, leaning against the counter, his tone more open than it had been in days. She thought for a moment, rifling through faded images and laughter-filled moments. "How about the time we got lost on our way to that wedding? You made us stop for directions 3 times. Tom chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck as he tried to suppress his laughter. "I swore I knew the way. But when we ended up in that diner, you looked so angry." "Angry?" "I was livid," she exclaimed, grinning at the memory of his sheepish grin that day. "But you kept insisting we order pie. A whole pie. That was ridiculous." He threw his head back, his laughter ringing out. You were determined to leave me there with that pie if we didn't make it. The light in his eyes, the ease in his smile, it was as if a dam had broken, and joy was flooding back into their lives. Best pie of my life, though, she said with a wink. You always knew what to do to lighten the mood. Shall we relive that experience? I'm pretty sure I can still get us lost. His teasing voice felt like a welcome warmth that wrapped around her. It was small and fleeting, but it felt like a step forward rather than back. The conversation flowed as they swapped more stories, tiny victories and embarrassing moments colliding in a delightful mix that filled the kitchen with laughter. Each shared memory built a bridge over the aching silence that had threatened to swallow them whole, but just as laughter echoed around them, an unsettling thought slinked back into Sarah's mind, clawing at the edges of her contentment. How long could they maintain this? What if the tranquility they built today could crumble tomorrow like a forgotten dream? Tom, she said, her voice softening as the humor of the moment waned. What about the hard memories? Do we just sweep them under the rug? He paused, the light-heartedness fading. His face shifted, confusion flickering across his features. I don't want to forget them, Sarah. But I also don't want them to define us anymore. Her heart raced. This was the moment she feared yet desperately wanted to explore. They had to confront the painful issues that loomed over their heads, but fear made her hesitate. Then how do we find a balance? Can we laugh and heal at the same time? Tom looked out the window for a moment, then turned back to her. Maybe we can. But it means being honest, even when it hurts. Even when we don't want it to. As Sarah met his gaze, she felt a mixture of hope and dread unfurling inside her. Perhaps laughter could be a tool for healing, but perhaps it could also mask the deeper wounds if they weren't careful. Let us not do this alone, then, she whispered, letting the seriousness settle between them. Let us promise to talk about everything. Even the uncomfortable stuff. Tom nodded slowly, and she could see how the heaviness of the realization burdened him. Together. One small step at a time. Just then, the sound of a car pulled into the driveway, breaking the fragile moment. Sarah's heart quickened at the interruption. Who could that be? Tom glanced at the clock, then back at her, confusion shadowing his features. Probably someone from the hospital. But as they turned to look at the door, doubt crept back in. Could they really face whatever was lurking on the other side? With hearts racing, they took a step toward the door, teetering on the edge of possibility and fear. What awaited them on the other side could change everything. As Sarah and Tom reached for the doorknob, their hands trembled slightly. The noise from outside echoed around them, a jarring reminder of the reality that lay beyond the warmth of their kitchen. Each tick of the clock grew louder in her ears, filling the silence with an unshakable tension. Sarah opened the door slowly, revealing a familiar face. It was Emily, their old friend from college, with a worried expression and a casserole dish in her hands. Hey, guys. She said, forcing a bright smile. I thought I'd drop by. I brought your favorite. Emily's cheerful tone clashed with the gravity of the moment. Sarah tried to muster a smile back, but her heart sank. It felt like a distraction when they were so close to confronting what had kept them apart for months. Emily, what a surprise. Tom replied, stepping in to bridge the space between their old friend and the heaviness lingering in the air. What's up? Oh, she said dismissively, brushing off the moment. Just thought I'd check in. Heard some things from the hospital, and I figured, hey, food is comfort, right? Sarah exchanged a quick glance with Tom, a silent communication passing between them. This wasn't what they needed. But, at the same time, it was a welcome break from the intensity of their conversation. Emily walked in, and the warmth of familiarity filled the room. How's everything been? You guys look better. Any big news? Just working on some things, Tom replied, his voice faltering slightly. He glanced sideways at Sarah, gauging her reaction. Working through it, I hope. Emily's eyes were razor-sharp, her concern genuine. We're trying, Sarah admitted, feeling the weight of their struggle. It's a process. Oh, honey, Emily said, placing the casserole on the counter. You know I'm here for you both. Just remember that sometimes you have to dig deep to get to the gold, right? Her words hung in the air, a gentle nudge that pulled at Sarah's heart. Perhaps this was the moment where their laughter could blend with honesty, where they could allow the buoyant atmosphere to coexist with the depths of their fears. I love that, Sarah said, forcing herself to lighten up. But do you mean gold like the money I owe you from college, or? Emily laughed, her easy humor washing over the tension. Both. But honestly, it's about understanding what matters. You two have weathered storms together. It's okay to feel lost sometimes, just don't forget where home is. Tom nodded, his expression shifting as he absorbed Emily's words. We're getting there. Trying to find our way back to each other again. It was then that Sarah realized the value of this unexpected visit. While it wasn't the deep conversation they had intended to have, it still lent a thread of connection to their woven story. Amid laughter and the smell of freshly baked food, they could still explore their hearts. Just then, a bit of laughter echoed from outside, like a beacon of hope. It was their neighbor's kids playing in the yard, their carefree joy wrapping around the house. Sarah's heart swelled at the thought, what if they could reclaim some of this lightness for themselves, too, but underneath that warmth was an undeniable chill of unspoken truths. With a flicker of determination, Sarah turned to Tom and Emily. You know what? Why don't we all sit down and talk, share memories, the good and the bad? Maybe we can find our way through together. Tom looked at her, a mixture of surprise and hope brightening his eyes. Emily smiled wide, her enthusiasm infectious. I'm in. As they moved to the table, laughter spilling through the air, Sarah felt a surge of clarity. They could confront fears, share their burdens, all while allowing warmth to creep back in, but as she set a plate down, a sudden realization struck her. What if opening their hearts triggered more than just shared laughter? What other secrets might come to light? Maybe the real journey was only just beginning. The three of them gathered around the kitchen table, a spread of steaming casserole and bright salads in front of them. The atmosphere buzzed with a mixture of laughter and unease, making it hard to focus. Sarah took a breath, willing herself to be present in the moment. Emily launched into stories about their college days, reminiscing about late-night study sessions and ridiculous pranks. As she painted vivid pictures of their youth, a sense of nostalgia washed over Sarah. It felt good to remember a time when life was simple, when laughter came easily. Tom leaned back, arms crossed, a smile playing on his lips. I remember when you convinced the entire dorm that the fire alarm was a new ringtone, he chimed in, eyes sparkling at the memory. Hey! That was an epic prank. Emily defended herself, leaning forward with a grin. Sarah chuckled, the sound almost foreign after months of hard conversations. She could feel tension loosening, at least temporarily. But in the quiet corners of her mind, the weight of their own struggles loomed larger. Remember the camping trip? Sarah started, her voice steadier now. The one where we got lost for hours. She caught Tom's eye, a silent agreement passing between them. Honest moments were what they needed to truly navigate through their hardships. A laugh escaped Emily, the kind that brightened her entire face. Oh, I thought we were going to end up in Canada. How did we not get more lost? Tom chuckled along, but Sarah could see a glimmer of sadness lurking in his eyes. And what about our survival skills? He added, winking. Or lack thereof. They shared stories for a while longer, feeling warmth fill the space, but soon an unspoken tension settled back in. Emily laughed less, her gaze darting carefully from Sarah to Tom. She was picking up on the change. Guys, Emily said, her voice lowering, cutting through the light-heartedness. I know that there's more going on than just nostalgia today. You don't have to pretend everything is fine. The air shifted. It was as if a door creaked open, revealing shadows that had been hiding in the corners. Tom glanced at Sarah, and she felt her heart race. What do you mean? Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice steady, but the tremor was hard to hide. "Listen," Emily continued, leaning forward. "You two are still figuring things out. I can see that. But whatever it is, you can share it with me. I care about you both." Silence settled around them, heavy like a blanket. The laughter faded, replaced by the swirling thoughts in Sarah's mind. She wanted to say something, anything, but the words felt trapped in her throat. Tom cleared his throat, his expression resolute. "It's just we haven't really had the chance to talk about what is happening in our marriage. It's been difficult." "Difficult?" Emily echoed gently. "That's an understatement." The tension built again, and Sarah felt the residential warmth wane. Before she could respond, Emily spoke again, carefully. "You want to talk about it? I mean, for real?" "Yeah," Tom said slowly, a hint of hesitation in his voice. "I think we need to." Sarah's heart raced, her grip tightening on the edge of the table. If they opened this door, there was no closing it after. They would need to share everything, fears, dreams, and maybe even their brokenness. It frightened her, but she also felt a flicker of hope. But as she began to speak, a loud crash bounced against the window, followed by a cacophony of shouts outside. The laughter of children had morphed into chaos. "What was that?" Sarah asked, her pulse quickening. They all turned to look, the moment of vulnerability shattered. Fear rushed in, overwhelming her. What if this was a sign? Would they avoid the conversation again? What if fate was conspiring against them in ways they never expected? As they rushed to the window, adrenaline surging, her thoughts couldn't shake the question: what truths would they face when they returned back to that kitchen table? The trio moved instinctively towards the window, their faces mirrored in shock. Outside, there was commotion. A group of neighborhood kids had knocked over a table in the park across the street. Wooden pieces lay scattered, and a dog barked excitedly beside a pile of overturned chairs. "Oh no," Sarah breathed, relief flooding her as she took in the scene. "It's just a bunch of kids being kids." But as she turned back to her friends, she felt the weight of unspoken truths pressing down on them once more. "Maybe we should," Tom began, his voice hesitant, drifting off as he looked at Sarah. Emily shifted her weight, sensing the tension returning. "Look, let us go check on them. We can't just leave this moment hanging." Tom sighed but nodded. They grabbed their coats and stepped outside, the crisp air hitting them like a splash of cold water. The world outside seemed bright, almost mocking the heaviness they carried inside. As they approached the park, laughter erupted from the children, mixed with shouts of excitement. Tom joined in their laughter, momentarily slipping away from the storm brewing within their small circle. "See?" Emily said, nudging Sarah and gesturing towards the kids. "That's what you need to focus on sometimes, the fun in the chaos." Sarah smiled softly, but her mind remained fixated on the conversation they had left unfinished. The moment had felt so close, a heartbeat away, yet here they were, still shying away from the deeper cuts showing in their relationship. "Do you want to grab the kids and help them clean up?" she suggested, her voice uncertain but hopeful. "It might distract us, give us a chance to breathe." Tom looked contemplative, but Emily's enthusiasm won him over. "Why not?" he said, a small smile breaking through. "Let us do it." As they began picking up the stray chair legs and scattered game pieces, the laughter around them felt contagious, lightening the burden on Sarah's heart. Each time she caught Tom's eye, a small spark flickered between them, a reminder that their connection still existed, even amidst the chaos. "See?" Emily chimed in again as they worked together. "This is us, isn't it? Just riding the waves of life, hoping to stay afloat." "Sure feels like it," Sarah replied, chuckling despite the weight of their struggles. Once the mess was tidied, the kids thanked them as they scampered off to the nearby swings, their laughter echoing sweetly in the air. "Next time we should host a picnic or something," Sarah suggested, leaning against a tree for support. It felt good to dream, even with the uncertainty clouding her heart. Absolutely, Tom said, taking a step closer. His gaze softened. We should make more moments like this, together. Just then, a gust of wind rustled through the trees, sending a chill racing down Sarah's spine. She thought of the conversation that had nearly unfolded and the truths still waiting to be expressed. As good as this felt, she sensed that they needed more than laughter to bridge the distance that had grown between them. Guys, she started, the moment feeling ripe once more. We need to talk about what we almost said back at the table. It can't wait any longer. Tom's expression shifted, concern spilling over the edges of his smile. Emily moved closer, a supportive presence. Okay. Let us find a quiet spot, Tom said, his steady tone both comforting and alarming. As they walked away from the park, Sarah felt the flutter of nerves returning. Did she really want to peel back the layers, to dive into the heart of their struggles? The moment of truth loomed ahead, and it felt both daunting and necessary. What would this conversation unravel? What secrets would come to light, echoing the laughter that they just shared? The path ahead was uncertain, but it was time to confront what they had been avoiding. Would they emerge stronger, or was this just the beginning of another storm? The grassy knoll beside the park seemed like the perfect secluded spot. They settled onto the cool earth, the weight of their words pressing heavily on each of them. The laughter of children faded into the background, replaced with an uncomfortable silence that stretched between the three friends. Tom cleared his throat, a nervous gesture. So, this feels important. His gaze moved between Sarah and Emily, searching for support while clearly battling his own apprehension. Yes, it is, Sarah admitted, gripping her hands together tightly. I feel like we're just putting off everything that needs to be said. Maybe you should go first. Emily's tone held an edge of encouragement. Swallowing hard, Sarah nodded. Okay, here goes. I've felt like there's this wall between us. It's been there for a while now, and it's driving me crazy trying to ignore it. Tom frowned, processing her words, his lips pressed together. I feel it too, he finally confessed. His voice was softer now. But what do we do about it? What can we say that'll fix it? Maybe we just need to be honest, Emily chimed in, her eyes sparkling with determination. We've been avoiding tough conversations, but it's like trying to hold back the ocean with a shovel. Can't we just talk about it? Her plea hung in the air, and Sarah found courage in their companionship. There's not just tension between us three, it's deeper than that. Tom, you and we've been dancing around things, and I'm tired of pretending everything's fine. I miss the way we used to talk, the way we really connected. There's so much we haven't said. Tom's expression turned serious, but his worry was mixed with understanding. I miss that too. The honesty in his voice warmed Sarah's heart, encouraging her to continue. We've let life and fears build walls, she said, her voice trembling slightly. And I don't want to feel that distance anymore. I love you, and I know we can work through this. But we have to open up. The words seemed to rip from her soul, heartfelt but painful. She watched Tom's reaction closely. He took a deep breath, nodding slowly. I love you too, Sarah. I've been scared to face it, scared of what those walls would reveal. But I don't want to hide. The air in their little circle seemed to shift, growing heavier yet filled with a bizarre sense of relief. Sarah felt a warmth growing between them, a spark of hope. Emily shifted closer, breaking in, this is good. Let us keep going. Each of us should say what's really on our minds. I think it'll make all the difference. Sarah's heart fluttered painfully at the thought of sharing more. What else was left unsaid? All right, Tom said, glancing at Emily. What about you? How are you feeling? Emily took a moment, clearly gathering her thoughts. I think we've all stood by while supporting each other, but I've been feeling a weight too, she said slowly. It can be lonely to walk this road without being honest. I've wanted to say that I'm scared of losing the connections we have." The vulnerability of that statement resonated strongly. A collective exhale escaped them, as realization settled in. They all bore these struggles, silently longing to be heard. Suddenly, all the laughter and childhood echoes from the park felt distant. The winds picked up slightly again, but now it was refreshing, like a fresh start. As Sarah looked at Tom and then at Emily, she felt something shift within her. It was as though they were slowly chipping away at the walls that had formed, revealing the vibrant connections they once had. "Let us promise to keep going," Sarah said, reaching out to hold both of their hands. "No more walls, okay?" Tom grasped her hand tightly. "No more walls." Emily's grip added strength. "No more walls." Just when they thought their hearts might finally begin to heal, a sudden noise cut through their moment, a familiar voice calling out in distress. "Help! Please! Someone!" Their heads snapped towards the commotion erupting from the park. What had happened now? Instinctively, the three friends turned as one, the weight of their earlier conversation falling away in an instant. The frantic cries cut through the air sharp as glass, pulling them towards the chaos at the park's edge. "Did you hear that?" Tom's voice quavered, panic rising in his chest. "Yes," Sarah breathed out, her heart racing. "We should go check it out." They sprang to their feet, a whirlwind of emotions flooding their minds. What could possibly be happening? As they hurried towards the source of the commotion, Sarah could feel the adrenaline pulsing through her veins. They didn't have to go far. A small group had gathered at the entrance of the playground. Children had stopped their games, the laughter replaced by worried whispers. Sarah pushed through, her heart pounding as she scanned the crowd. "Is it a kid?" Emily gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Just ahead, a young boy sat on the ground, his face streaked with tears. His little bike lay abandoned a few feet away, twisted at an odd angle. The sight sent a jolt through Sarah's chest. "Somebody call the ambulance!" shouted a woman, her voice strained. He fell off his bike. Tom's expression shifted from fear to immediate determination. "I'll see what I can do." Without a moment's hesitation, he stepped forward, bending beside the boy. "Hey buddy, what's your name?" Tom spoke softly, kneeling to meet the boy's gaze. "I'm Mikey," the boy whimpered, clutching his elbow. "Okay, Mikey. Can you tell me where it hurts?" Sarah watched, a flutter of gratitude blooming in her heart as Tom interacted with the child, his calm voice puncturing the chaos surging through the park. "Right here," Mikey sniffled, pointing at his scraped elbow. "Just a little scratch," Tom reassured him, glancing back to the gathered crowd. "Looks like you decided to take a tumble, huh? Just hang tight. Help is on the way." Emily sidled closer to Sarah, her breath shaky. "What if he's hurt worse than we think?" "I don't know," Sarah admitted. Something clutched her heart, her own fear bubbling to the surface. "But we need to stay positive. They'll help him." As the sirens wailed in the distance, Sarah shifted her gaze back to Tom. He was still knelt beside Mikey, reassuring him, making him chuckle through his tears. Somehow, in that moment, everything felt hopeful. She realized that this was a chance for connection, not just for her friends but for everyone there. The way Tom was comforting Mikey mirrored how they had just begun to comfort one another. The ambulance arrived quickly, and the paramedics jumped into action. They carefully assessed Mikey, smiles breaking through the tension. "You're going to be just fine, buddy. Don't you worry," one of the medics said. As they loaded him onto the stretcher, Sarah felt a sense of relief wash over her. The boy was scared, yes, but he was surrounded by caring adults who had flocked to help him. It was a reminder, vulnerability could lead to support, healing, and unity. When Mikey's eyes met Tom's, something shifted in the air. As they wheeled him away, the boy broke into a small, brave smile. "Thanks, mister." And in that moment, Sarah caught Tom's eye, a surge of understanding passing between them. They were feeling things again: fear, relief, connection. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Sarah realized the conversation they had started was far from over. Like Mikey, they had their own scrapes and bruises to heal. Tom approached them, wiping his hands on his jeans, his face mirroring Sarah's mix of worry and optimism. "You okay?" Before Sarah could respond, a thought struck her. "Is this what we needed? A wake-up call?" Tom nodded slowly. "It feels like it." Suddenly, the distance they had felt hours earlier seemed smaller, fragile yet hopeful. Just as the three friends were beginning to untangle their truths, the world had offered them a gentle reminder of resilience and connection. But was this enough to shatter the walls entirely? Would they truly be able to overcome their unspoken fears? And with emotions still swirling, they all lingered at the park's edge, contemplating what would come next. As they stood on the edge of the park, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting warm hues of orange and pink over the gentle chaos of the playground. Sarah felt a wave of comfort wash over her. The earlier fear and doubt began to fade, replaced by an exhilarating hope. They had helped Mikey, a small act that mirrored the greater journey they were embarking on together. Tom's hand brushed against hers again, and it felt like a lifeline in the midst of uncertainty. "We need to carry this feeling forward," he said gently, his voice steady. "We can face things together like we did today." "Absolutely," Emily chimed in, her cheeks still flushed from the adrenaline. "Life doesn't stop throwing challenges our way, but it's how we tackle them that matters." Sarah took a deep breath, emboldened. "We can be vulnerable. If we can help a little boy, isn't it time we help each other?" Her words hung in the air, a delicate promise that echoed through the fleeting warmth of the day. Tom looked at her, his gaze igniting with confidence. "I want to make this part of our routine. Let us spend time together, just the three of us, facing life together as friends." Emily nodded enthusiastically, her eyes sparkling. "We can share laughs and talk about the hard stuff too. No more hiding." With the sun setting behind them, the atmosphere shifted. It felt lighter now, vibrant. They walked back to the kitchen, the laughter of children and the earlier chaos lingering in their hearts. Once inside, Sarah took up her place at the counter, excitement bubbling within her. "Let us create a jar of memories," she proposed. "Every time we share something we cherish, we write it down and drop it in. It'll be our reminder when times get tough." "I love that!" Tom exclaimed. "It'll be a treasure trove of laughter and honesty." Emily smiled, the weight she had carried lifted. "And we can open it at the end of each month. Celebrate our progress together." As they began to find slips of paper, the banter among them felt different. It was filled with the easy warmth they once shared, a rhythm playing out of unspoken understanding. They took turns recalling memories that ignited laughter and joy. "Remember the epic road trip where we got caught in that storm?" Sarah laughed, recalling their frantic escape from a downpour, the sound of raindrops creating an unexpected symphony. Tom picked up the thread. "And we ended up in an old diner. I swear the milkshakes saved us from drowning." The laughter swelled, filling every corner of the room, but as the night wore on, a gentle stillness settled in, allowing space for the heavier conversations they still needed to have. Sarah could feel the tension sneaking back in, a reminder of the unaddressed issues still lurking beneath the surface. "Hey guys," she said slowly, "while we're here together, I think we need to be real about what we felt during these past few months." A flicker of apprehension passed over Tom's face, but he nodded. "You're right. It's time." With Emily squeezed between them, they started small, hesitant words at first, the barriers gradually crumbling away. Their truths poured out, fears of failure mingled with hopes for a shared future. It was raw, but it was necessary. "I've felt so alone," Tom confessed quietly. "Like I'm shouldering everything by myself. But seeing Mikey today, it reminded me I'm not alone. I don't want to hug these burdens anymore. I want us to share them." Sarah felt the tears prick her eyes but smiled through them. "I need you, too. We've let the mundane drown out the light between us. I want joy to fill every corner of our lives, alongside the hard conversations. Emily reached for both their hands, grounding them in solidarity. We have to be brave together, leaning on one another. Encouraging one another. This is the moment we lean into our connection. As they spoke, Sarah sensed the fear lift ever so slightly, their hands intertwining in a collective pact. Together, they were reshaping their relationships, cultivating a bond filled with strength. The air sparkled with new possibilities, each shared story a brick added to the bridge they were building. They embraced those uncomfortable truths, navigating their way through laughter and pain alike. With laughter echoing from the depths of the kitchen, Sarah felt something more profound and healing wash over her. There was a sense of coming home not just to each other, but to the truth of who they were and what they could become. Time passed, and as the stars twinkled overhead, there was a rekindling of warmth. They had faced the chaos and learned to find laughter in the storm. As the evening wound down, Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude. Today changed everything, she said softly. And it doesn't have to stop here. Together, they agreed to embark on new adventures, with open hearts and laughter leading the way. It was just the beginning, but they were ready. As long as they had one another, no wall would ever feel insurmountable. Now is the time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive story that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to stand together and support the channel. Don't wait not even one more second.